Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. This is going to be a bit of a different one. Sam Bankman-Fried, who we know was the founder of FTX, ultimately the individual responsible for everything that we've seen unfold over the past 3 or 4 weeks with the exchange and subsequently the massive losses and the damage to not only the cryptocurrency, but its the cryptocurrency market, but its reputation. But really, the individuals who trusted and believed in FTX and had their money stored on it. So we're going to be going over a few clips. I'm kind of in disbelief with just how soft the media, the mainstream media, is actually going on Sam. I have to give a little bit of credit where it's due, although it doesn't feel right to say at least he has the balls to come out publicly and give his side of the story. And that's about all the credit that I'm going to be giving him, because I think what he has done is ruin hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people's lives. He's damaged the cryptocurrency market's reputation. And he's also actually, I think, ushered in. I can't help but feel like FTX and Sam was a Trojan horse. This guy was rubbing shoulders with all the right people. He had, and the rise of FTX seems almost unbelievable to go in the space of, just over a year, from nothing to this multi-billion-dollar company. It seems almost too good to be true. And there's all these sort of conspiratorial avenues that you can go down into, what happened and why it happened. And actually, I think, from my own opinion, he very much, FTX and Sam are a Trojan horse into the cryptocurrency market to basically allow regulators and give them the right to come down with the full force of their laws or their regulations upon this space, and actually regulate it in a way that will benefit them and not the masses. I think he has been a very, very negative individual to the crypto space. And I know a lot of people, some to the tune of millions of dollars, that lost out as a result of FTX global and US's demise. And I think the real question that people are trying to ask and answer here is, was this just negligence, or was there some sort of fraud taking place? And there's lots of, like I say, conspiratorial avenues. He was a big donor to the Democrat Party, and so on and so forth. So I just want to really sort of maybe express a little bit of disgust in regards to the media being so kind. And this guy's getting round of applause and laughing gestures from the audience, and even smiling and smirking on this interview, when the reality of the situation, I would be very surprised if this guy wasn't on some sort of prescription drugs to keep him in some sort of a state of whatever it is, but it's just crazy to me that people are almost begging, and we've seen some big influencers out there in terms of supposed financial giants that are actually giving this guy a pass and saying, look, I would support him if he moved into something in the future. And this is the question, was this just negligence and sort of a series of mistakes, or was there something more going on here? But I'll let you guys make your own mind up. I'm going to try and be unbiased as a reporter on this sort of information, but there's emotion attached to it, because like I say, I know people that lost to the tune of millions of dollars in this whole sort of event. And I think if you look at previous people who maybe didn't rub shoulders with the right people that have done similar things, they're serving a massive jail sentence. In fact, if you look at some individuals, they may never see freedom again as a result of it. So I can't help but feel like he's protected. And I think, and I don't want to mention any names and drop any names here, but I think the people that he kind of cozied up with will protect him in the same way that they've protected other criminals or people who have done bad things and themselves doing bad things. Some of them, you know, politicians, etc., etc. And that's why he's getting this sort of media coverage. The strings being pulled behind the scenes, and he's getting a very light lashing, if you will, where in actual fact, the gravity of the situation, and this is what leads me to believe maybe he's a Trojan horse, because why is it that he's allowed to, you know, why hasn't he been arrested? Why hasn't there been, you know, some sort of scrutiny, like harsh scrutiny towards what he's done? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to play a series of clips for you. I'm going to talk about each and every one of them after, with just my thoughts. And then I'm going to leave you to it. So Sam Bankman-Fried confronted over the fall of FTX in live interview. This was from the New York Times. And there was a number of others that are now interviewing him. But something doesn't seem right here, guys. So let's go ahead and play the first clip.
On behalf of everybody here and on behalf of the public, I want to thank you for engaging in it at a time, in truth, when I know you've been advised not to. So thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Sam Bankman-Fried, everybody.
I mean, look at the audience clapping. Look at the smile on his face. I mean, you have to give him a little bit of credit. And the only bit of credit I'm going to give him is actually, you know, showing up and showing his face here. Given everything, I mean, from on a personal perspective, it must be a pretty insane thing that he's going through. I mean, it's colossal. It's one of the biggest sort of scandals or frauds or collapses that the cryptocurrency market has ever seen. This is on a huge scale, and at least he's showing up. But to thank him for turning up when he really owes everybody this explanation anyway, and then to applaud him when he has essentially ruined hundreds of thousands or millions of people's lives with no obvious consequences other than to his image and his own personal net worth, when you have some people who have zero net worth as a result of this guy, and are financially ruined. It just, to me personally, does not seem right at all. You know, it doesn't seem like he's potentially getting the kind of judgment and treatment that potentially, or in my opinion, he deserves. So let's move on to the next clip.
You are a young man who made a series of terrible, terrible, very, very bad decisions. The less generous view is that you have committed a massive fraud, that this is a Ponzi scheme, a manipulation of the system. And I want to start there because I think that there are so many people who have that question, which is, what is this? And what did happen?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me. And at the end of the day, I was CEO of FTX. And that means whatever happened, wherever it happened, I had a duty. I had a duty to all of our stakeholders, to our customers, our creditors. I had a duty to our employees, to our investors, and to the regulators in the world to do right by them, to make sure the right things happened at the company. And clearly, I didn't do a good job of that. Clearly, I made a lot of mistakes or things I would give anything to be able to do over again. I didn't ever try to commit fraud on anyone. I was excited about the prospects of FTX a month ago. I saw it as a thriving, growing business. I was shocked by what happened this month. And, you know, reconstructing it, where there are things I wish I had done differently.
So they're kind of playing it off as it was just a load of mistakes that took place. But in actual fact, and I think lots of things are going to come out. I mean, CZ gave very clear warnings on this prior. So what did he know that we didn't? You know, this really started for me with CZ coming out and saying that he was going to start to dump the FTT token. I'm not saying CZ's responsible for this at all, because clearly the problem was there. And there's also a tweet emerged where he said on the 7th of November that they're solvent and everything's fine. And then he said, well, that's also in this in one of the interviews that he did. He said that's where he first noticed the problem. So, and he deleted that tweet. So there's a lot of sort of contradictory information here. And I think if users give you their money for you to do something that they, you know, just expect as a minimum, that you've promised them as a result of them trusting you and giving you their money, and you take that money and you do things that the users wouldn't perhaps be okay with. It's kind of like bank runs. So when you give money to a bank, they'll lend it out, they'll do whatever, they have to make their money on it. But there should always, if you give somebody your money and they tell you that they're just going to keep it for you, and then you request it back and they don't give it you, that's criminal. That in my opinion is theft. And that's as black and white as I see it, ladies and gentlemen. So they're kind of painting as a series of mistakes when actually potentially a lot of the things that took place should never have even been it should never have even been done. And we see so many shenanigans between FTX and Alameda Research, which was the hedge fund that he owned, owned, with sort of these backhand loans and funds being moved around here and there and everywhere else. And then we've got this hacker, and there's so many unanswered questions. Just to write all this off as a series of mistakes that make him look innocent and stupid, when I think that there's more to this story than meets the eye. And this is speculation. I don't have any hard, concrete evidence of this. The tweet thing I do have, obviously you can see there are videos up there that will clearly demonstrate the tweet and have snapshots of the tweet. But I think there's far more going on here. And I think, again, for me, it's very simple. If somebody gives you your money and the expectation of you to do something, and then when they ask for it back, you don't give it them, that, in my opinion, is theft. That's a robbery of a financial kind.
Just to make a distinction here, you look at the U.S. platform, you look at the international platform. The U.S. platform is a U.S. regulated platform with American users. To my knowledge, that's fully solvent. That's fully funded. And, I believe that withdrawals could be opened up today and everyone could be made whole from that none of these problems plagued the U.S. platform. Just to make a distinction.
So he goes on to say that he thinks the FTX US, which is regulated, of course, in the US as it has to be, is still solvent. So why aren't they allowing customers to withdraw their funds? Why are they still holding people's funds if that was the case? And actually, he said many times that FTX is solvent and people can withdraw whenever they want. And now we've seen that people have literally lost their entire life savings as a result of this guy. I think, was it Tom Brady that lost about 65 million or something? I think he's the individual married to J-Lo. Let's play a few more clips and then we're really going to wrap this thing up. But mate, please let me know your comments in the comment section of what you think of all this. I can't help but feel like he's a Trojan horse.
One of the letters I got, I want to read to you, Sam, because it's from a gentleman who said that he lost his life savings. And the subject line is, Sam Bankman-Fried stole $2 million from me. It says, Andrew, can you please ask SBF why he decided to steal my life savings and the $10 billion more from customers to give to his hedge fund, Alameda? Can you ask him why his hedge fund was leveraging long all of these S coins? I'm going to keep it polite for the kids. Please ask him.
Did you see that smile on his face there? I mean, like I say, I would be very shocked. I don't know this guy. I'm not going to try and say he's on this medication or that medication. I would be extremely shocked if this individual isn't on medication right now, pharmaceutical medication. I think we can leave that there. You know, he basically goes on after that to say, I'm deeply sorry. But the fact of the matter is he took customers' funds, gave some of it to Alameda, which was his own hedge fund, to then go and leverage up even more so off the customer funds that had been given to him in good faith. And then, of course, you know, that's all well and dandy in a raging bull market where money's free-flowing and expansive and everything's expanding. But in a bear market, that just doesn't work. And you'd have thought that people would have learned that from the Terra Luna situation, where they tried to back a stable coin off an asset that was going down. So they tried to algorithmically peg to a dollar a stable coin when, you know, the reality was if the price of something got to a certain level, it would no longer. And there's a huge trust is the main word, I think, here. And for this is what I mean. Was that a mistake? Was that greed? Was that knowingly risking customers' money for your own benefit and potentially putting people in harm's way? And I think there has to be accountability. And in some respects, he is coming out and giving that accountability. But is it honest? Can we trust an individual like this? I think that's the real... I'm very, very shocked, actually, and disheartened with the media's sort of coverage on him. I think if this was anybody else that wasn't rubbing shoulders with the likes of the people that he was rubbing shoulders with, you can go and look into that, then they would be extremely harshly punished, in the sense that they would probably go to jail for a very, very long time. There's a big difference between making a mistake and, you know, essentially committing theft in the form of taking people's money, using it for your own benefit, and then you fail at whatever way you're trying to make trying to enrich yourself, and then other people have to suffer as a result of your bad decisions. There is accountability, I think, that can come from this. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and listen, at the end of the day, guys, you know, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. But for me, I think the real question is, and I don't really have the answers here, but I can't help but feel like, if I give somebody my money, if I give an exchange my money and that exchange runs off with it, or ends up in a situation when they're insolvent because they've used the money that I've given them to gamble, essentially, and then it implodes, you know, that in my opinion is theft and robbery, and there's a huge dishonesty and accountability that needs to be upheld there.
There's going to be a time and a place for me to sort of think about myself and my own future, but I don't think this is it. Like, right now, I mean, look, I've had a bad month. This has not been a fun month for me, but...
Who are these idiots in the audience, by the way, laughing and joking when he says, I've had a bad month? This is almost some sort of a comedy sketch. You've had a bad month. You've ruined people's lives. Forget your bad month. You've still got 100 grand in the bank, okay? 100 grand isn't a lot of money, but mate, seriously? This has not been fun for me. What about the people that are in absolute financial ruin as a result of what you've done? And you have a cackling audience. Put a tweet out actually earlier that's well worth a read. For anybody that's not following me on Twitter, head over to @RealAllInCrypto, and I expressed my disgust. And I was essentially talking about how is there not something more that can be done here? How are people not really upset about this situation? And actually, I used an analogy of a leader of a country, or you could even call him a dictator, who gave an example of how easy it is to control stupid people. Now, I'm not saying that anybody involved in FTX was stupid. I know some of the smartest people I've ever met that were using that exchange. And actually, from a trading point of view, if I wasn't in the UK, I'd probably have used it. But of course, we couldn't get the derivatives in the UK. It was not a bad crypto exchange, but the management of that exchange through Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda and all these other, you know, whatever the hell they are, was downright criminal.
That's not what matters here. Like, what matters here is the millions of customers. What matters here is all the stakeholders in FTX.
I just find it shocking, guys, and I really wanted to highlight that. I'm sure there's a lot more going to come over, but I think if this guy was going to go to jail or get any kind of real consequences as a result of all this, which I think he should, it would have happened already. But I'm not a lawmaker, I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, so I really aren't, you know, I'm not familiar with how things are dealt there. But to me, the worst thing for me is somebody who is all in crypto, and doesn't mean we're all invested in crypto. We're majority stable coins now, and we have been for a while. Somebody that cares about this industry, somebody that cares about the cryptocurrency market and its future, and believes in this sort of vision for decentralization. You know, he's been extremely regressive for the industry as a whole. And he's given regulators everything that they need to move forwards with regulating this industry so that they have complete control over it. To me, it kind of feels like how one way that we ended up with a central bank, we can all reference Jekyll Island and all this stuff if we want to get conspiratorial, but was in America at one point you had loads of private banks, privately owned banks. And essentially what you had was bank runs. The similar thing happened was they gave their money, people gave their money to deposit with the bank, and then all of a sudden everyone started to question the trustability of the bank, and they then withdraw their funds all at once, and this caused a bank run. They didn't have the money, they couldn't do it because it was lent out, and they were over leveraging here, there, and everywhere. And then you basically had the groundworks for like the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve to you basically had enough pain caused, and this is a common theme, you never let a good crisis go to waste, where essentially you had you know, the sort of pretext and the context for a central bank to be born, which is ultimately supposed to be there as a stabilizing factor, although they're very destabilizing in many ways. I can't help but feel like crypto is going through a similar thing. All I've got for you in this one, guys, let me know your comments on everything and your thoughts in the description, or sorry, in the comment section. If you can leave this video a like, maybe share it, and if you're not already subscribed to one of the realest and fastest growing YouTube channels out there, then please do so. All I've got for you in this video, guys.